Let's open up the gem colors. I finally got them. After about, I think, 7 years. But I didn't super need them, I just wanted them, so I waited for them to go on sale. And they went on sale. These are the direct from Japan ones, for sure. All right, and then we'll have to let that sit so we can try them out. This is more of a first impressions review. I'd already prepared these little cards in amongst all my swatch cards, which I keep in paper protectors, in order to test things out. I'm also working on gradient color wheels, which show the colors blending one into the other. There's a red, a pink, a yellow gold, a green, a blue, and a violet. All these colors are vibrant metallics that are actually quite opaque. You can really tell the opacity when you look at the black. Overall, I still think it's often quite better with these to put other colors underneath them, and I need to do more tests with how to use them better by perhaps layering colors underneath. Putting just the color directly on the paper can yield a slightly streaky result that looks great in some angles and looks worse on others. It tends to look better overall on black paper or with dark colors underneath and is very beautiful. Often in artworks, I use metallic paints like this for accents in specific works and shades of gold and silver to fill in metallic jewelry and details. But sometimes I use these to paint in gemstones, specifically in fantasy artworks. What I was really excited about for this set was the red. The other metallic colors I'd purchased before didn't have reds I'd call truly red, they were all shades of pink. I'm doing the same thing here, but I'm adding in, doing the same sort of color wheel with the colors between on black paper. So I continue the process here. I'm making one copy to give away and one copy to keep for myself and my records. In the end, I'm going to mix all the colors together to paint the flower in the middle, a color which is a blend of all of them, which I think looks very much like a bronze color, which you'll see later. I was also hoping the blue, green, and purple would be particularly good to use for mixing. After looking into it, all 6 colors are really quite good, and I think they mix very well considering. I was hoping to get a more vibrant turquoise by mixing them, but I'm going to do some experiments and check if I can mix watercolors and gouache in with them as well to get different results. I'm considering doing a lot more different tests, but I don't think I'll include everything in this video. This is more just showing these blends, my first impressions. I'm very happy with the red as it's a proper red, like I said. All the colors are very satisfying, but the red was the most useful based on the other metallic paints that I still felt like I needed. In general, I think they're really good and really bright. As you can see, if you water them down, they become more translucent and watercolor-like, but if you work with them thickly, they're more gouache-like and very much more opaque. The interesting thing with these paints is I find they transition really well with different amounts of water, but another factor you should remember when using the Gansai Tambi paints or any metallic watercolors like this I've found is you really need to put that water on them ahead of time and let it sit if you want to use them thickly. If you want to use them as a very thin iridescent glaze on top of other things, you can use them immediately with a damp brush. But if you want that thick opaque, you really should put eyedroppers full of clean water in them and let them sit at least 3 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes I think works really well. Once the moisture gets set into the paints, they'll come up as very thick and very much more opaque, which could also then be put on a palette and watered down if you want to use it thinner and thickly. But it's a good thing to remember. You need to prep and prime these paints with water before using them if you want to use them thickly and more opaque. In general, they're not used on every painting I do. I rarely use special touch paint like this. It's better to wait for a great sale or to try a lower priced brand on the off chance it's good. But in general, I tend to do reviews on YouTube first, watch them that is, and see if it probably is worth my money. Because I've already had the Gansai Tambi story set for years and really liked it, I knew I was going to enjoy this set as well, and it turns out I was correct. I'm mostly looking between $10 and $18 Canadian as being a good enough sale price, and I still want to get the pearl and opal set someday, but for right now, they're over $31, which is just too much money. Although I am looking at a couple other brands to see if maybe I could get something similar for less and collect different metallic paints. I haven't always had the best luck with metallic paints as I bought some in tubes that are more disappointing. These sets here, these sort of paints, tend to work the best in terms of the metallic paints I've been purchasing. I'm looking also into the Mozart Komorebi set. I bought the neon, which is going to be featured in an upcoming video. Although right now there's a well-priced metallic set I'm thinking about getting, but I'm going to test out the neon paints first to see if they're of any good quality. The reviews I looked at said it was good, but I'll have to test it for myself first. Here I continue to work on the color blends. As you can see, there really is a stark difference between the way things look on the black paper and the way they look on the white paper. And remember, you can also put different paints and colors underneath. I do think I'm going to do some more intentional long-term tests with mixing other paints with them, mixed media and painting on top with these. Let me know in the comment section below if you're interested in an additional long-term test report on these colors, as well as how they work mixed with mixed media, rather than just focusing on this one video here. It's good for me to know what people are interested in as well as doing what I know I'm interested in. As you can see, it's very beautiful to make these color wheel transitions, and I really recommend people make their own versions because it's really fun and it's actually a really helpful reference when using your paint. In order to mix all the colors together, I took some more fresh, thick versions of the paint out and then mixed them all together and ended up making a very bronze looking color. I also saved the sparkly from the water jar I used by dumping out most of the water after it had settled for a few days, then letting it fully dry. I scraped it out with a palette knife, put it in an empty half pan, and mixed a bit of quinacridone rust by Everglow in to make my own vibrant bronze color by reusing some of it. So you can reuse the sparkle if you use a jar specifically for rinsing your brushes in for metallic paints. You can reuse it, these sparkles, which I heard about in a YouTube video and decided to try, and it totally works, and I've now made my own custom sparkle paint just from the wastewater. Using a reference viewed off screen, I made an abstracted metallic painting of a hummingbird. I felt this video felt very unfinished without an artwork made from the paints. I decided not to go realistic because I wasn't trying to test these paints mixed media yet, although I can do that long term if people would like, and I have done so myself, as well as layering the metallics on top to add that finishing touch. In this case, I decided to use all the colors featured here to make an artwork, while taking advantage of the dark black of the page. As I say, this is not meant to be realistically done, but just meant to be symbolic, although I did take the information of the anatomy of the animals and plants and exaggerate and change it. I leave a lot of black of the paper here just to create a strange, special effect that isn't meant at all to depict the three-dimensional form realistically in terms of having proper values, darks and lights. It's just a beautiful metallic look layered on top of black, which is a perfectly valid art style. I've done this sort of painting before, as well as painting quite realistic hummingbirds and just adding a touch of metallic onto them. I'm focusing more on getting the shapes, regardless of the logic of lights and shadows, as well as intentionally adding some very bright, very opaque highlights where the highlights would actually be. A lot of the midtones are left black, which gives a strange, eerie, but very beautiful effect. I had the idea to paint this and decided to just go for it, and in the end I'm actually very happy with how it looks and decided that I'm going to frame it and put it up on the wall. It's such a unique look compared to anything else I currently have framed up on my walls. I also watered down some of the paints to get that more translucent look where you can see the black of the paper through it, rather than working with the paint completely opaquely. As you can see, I used very opaque paints for the quote-unquote highlights, and in the end I decided to put some blue back in on the hummingbird. Briefly here you'll see I used some watered down paint to add some more distant looking leaves. But this strange style is very surrealistic, but in the end I'm actually quite happy with it. Here's a look at the metallic when viewed from different angles in the light. And here it is fully dry. Once again, that's all for this video. If you like my videos, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to all notifications so you will know when a new video comes up. I aim for new videos every Wednesday, but sometimes life happens and things are delayed. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you with another one very soon.